that. And we're looking at the prize cards. Secret box prize for both players.
Who needs a box when your opponent doesn't have a box? We'll see how they can both function without their A-spec, one of in every deck. And they're not able to use it, both for consistency here as we kick things off. Piper going first. Now, this is a matchup many will be familiar with from Pittsburgh. Ooh, instant pass. Zoroark in to Gardevoird with Jellicent. Tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah, typically this has been renounced as a very bad matchup on the Zoroark side. There are a few, not on the Zoroark side, excuse me, on the Gardevoird side of things. We saw that with Liam Halliburton in Pittsburgh winning the final against Aban Ahmed. And I think the importance here is that can Kim get set up faster than Piper and try to build an advantage. If that doesn't happen and Piper actually gets to catch up, doesn't get caught up by Frillish, for example, or the Jellicent itself, then the weakness advantage is going to play really much in favor of Piper.
We've spoken about that weakness advantage at the recent events. Gardevoird, the strongest deck and the most prevalent deck, almost 20% when you include both sides at all these events. And it seems to be, if you can beat it, you're willing to take bad matchups elsewhere, and Zoroark seems to be the prime example of that. A very powerful deck into archetypes like Gardevoird, as well as some of the other top decks like Dragapult. But it really is knowing that it's such a big percentage of the field that you can take that risk, and Piper has done so. Stayed on those top tables throughout the tournament. 3 ties today to secure the top cut, ending with that 9-0-4 record. Didn't have to win too much as they had such a strong performance in day one.
And that's also what helps you when you're playing in phase 1 and you get these good records, right? The pressure's not on as much as it could have been had you gone into phase 2 with 5-2-1, for example. So it's really good for players like Piper, get to have that, bit of more of a chill day and feel secure to top cut. Although it's not easy for Piper to do all these things whenever we're in this, the business end of the tournament. Very importantly, we have to mention that, she's just getting everything from the performance that we've had previous.
Exactly. As the first deck check from Kim, resulting in a Ralts going down. There is one in hand as well, that new Ralts from the Mega Evolution set. And I think it's important to mention the Gardevoird base strategy, and it's being executed perfectly here for Kim. Just trying to get into the Gardevoird as soon as possible. That TM Evolution allowing you to get to the Curliers, so you're one step closer to the Gardevoird.
Just a single Curlier here off the Evolution, has the other one in hand. None of them are prized. And going into the supportive of choice, which Piper really wanted here. This Cyrano being able to search out free Pokemon EX. You have 2 Zoroarks in play, Mike. What do we go ahead and get here?
Yeah, 3 Zoroark, amazing. Not just the Zoroark EX that are available, you also have the Petron EX, Pheasantipity EX, and the Okidogi EX. So great options beyond just those evolution Pokemon. But here, the Zoroark EX, the key pillar of this deck. Why is it so powerful?
You get to draw cards. Look at the tradability. Discarding a card from your hand, being able to draw 2 cards per Zoroark you have in play. So as we saw with Piper yesterday, having 3 Zoroarks in play, well, you can trade and draw 6 cards. We did see the Okidogi being a big element of the stream match that Piper had. Not going to be that huge today since there's no Cornerstone Ogerpons we have to deal with.
Yeah, that Dark type as well, such a big factor for the card. Being able to hit for weakness into Gardevoird. Limited damage output with that Night Joker, normally copying N's Reshiram, Virtuous Flame for 170. And when you can double that into 340, that knocks out pretty much everything in Kim's side. But the only thing that really can survive is the Lily's Clefairy in the active, and that's just close within range of just 190 HP. So as you see, those trades coming through, discarding resources you don't want to see for the rest of the game, and lots of recovery in the deck too, in case you want to bring stuff back later on.
And then you may be thinking, how do we then deal with this Lily's Clefairy, right? Well, we've seen Mochi from the side of Piper, but as you mentioned yourself, Petron being able to poison these Zoroarks themselves, being that Virtuous Flame would ideally just deal 210 plus poison, thereby knocking out the Clefairy. So on Kim's side, whatever he attacks with is not going to be safe.
To see more of those Zoroark. Many matchups, you'd limit how many of these Zoroark you develop because you don't want to fill your bench up with them. But seeing as it's both the engine and the attacker in this matchup, it's very valuable to fill the board with it. And you don't need anything else. Maybe some Monkey Dories later on if there's some damage to move about. But the key factor here for you guys at home who are watching is this is very favored for that Zoroark. Piper is in a strong position with this deck, and it's going to be up to Kim to find unorthodox routes, ways to develop a board that will catch Piper off guard and be able to take the victory.
And one of those ways of doing is that when we're looking at Piper's list, playing just one of these N's Reshiram, and when you're playing one of these and you can get out something like the Jellicent being able to actually knock out that Reshiram, with the Jellicent in the active position, you can shut off item cards, meaning that Piper will not be allowed to have an attacker in play at that spot. And if you can get to knock out that Reshiram with the Jellicent, have that in the active position, shutting off tools, shutting off items, Night Stretcher's not going to be able to get that Reshiram back, meaning that Piper would be out of attackers. So if Kim successfully can pull that off, that's one of the unorthodox strategies we might be able to see being able to swing it in Kim's advantage.
Yeah, interesting. N's Reshiram typically seen as a 2 count in most Zoroark deck. Why can Piper get away with just the 1 in this version?
In this version, Piper does have, alternatives, right? We have Yveltal, we have Okidogi. There has to be cut somewhere, right? And there's, of course, also the Petron EX, speaking of that. But the main one we're thinking about is the N-Star Moniton. That is not something we typically see. And whenever you're playing something we don't typically see, you have to make space for it in the deck list.
Exactly, as the N's Reshiram does come down. The Lily's Clefairy hitting for 180 in the previous turn, so the active Zoroark now has damage on it. And the other attack of Reshiram very much like seeing damage on the Zoroark, the powerful Rage, 20 times the number of damage on the active Pokemon. So that will be able to potentially get a return knockout here. But it is about that pace. You mentioned Kim will have to be aggressive here, trying to take big knockouts with the Gardevoird as soon as possible. And just using Liga Pokémon hasn't needed to get the Gardevoird in play.
We just see Piper getting all the way to 4 Zoroark EX in play, being able to draw 8 cards a turn. Literally saying to Kim, you're never going to be able to disrupt me at all. And you're saying, well, we are saying that Kim has to be aggressive here. Who takes the first 2 prize KO? Piper got that. And with Mew being down, it's an easy target. So we could just be seeing a 2-2-2 prize map. We do see the knockout of the Clefairy right here.
Our first knockout of our top 16 match, Piper with Zoroark knocking out the Lily's Clefairy as Kim promotes a Curlier. Taking the secret box off the prize cards, Piper also getting the N-Star Manitan, which will now open up more options.
As if, you know, drawing 8 cards to trade was enough. You just get to secret box to search out whatever you're like on your turn. And as Piper, she's looking at it being like, well, we just got embarrassment of riches here when it comes to it. And Kim is just in struggle town right now. It's so hard to figure out for Kim what to use here. You cannot be a reliable attacker because if you copy Night Joker, you don't have any Ends Pokemon on your own bench. And then you're struggling to find, well, how do we first of all KO the Zoroark? It has 100 HP left, which is, you know, not too great in that context. You can't attack with Gardevoird because then there's just another Zoroark with like Ends PP up, and I like being able to power that up. So, I mean, sitting in Kim's shoes and in Kim's seat right now, it's not where I want to be sitting.
Looking really tough, and the challenge there off the Mew EX restart, drawing up to 3 cards, has an Arven, an Ultra Ball, and NG. We'll just be playing that Arven now, debating whether to use the Ultra Ball to maybe find a Pheasantipity or the Gardevoird, but now he's going to be playing first with that Arven. And this is what we mentioned before. When a matchup is favorable towards one deck, in this case it's Piper, you really have to find an unusual route. But with Piper going ahead early, when it's unfavored, that just mounts so much more challenge. And everything that Piper has done here is going to be safe and secure. You've got all of the trades. You've got the ability to take knockouts whenever you want. It really is going to have to be an unorthodox route from Kim.
We saw that yesterday with the Control versus Dragon Ball matchup. We saw the game 1 from Control, which had the kind of lead in that matchup, the favorability there. Doing and executing a perfect game 1 into, you know, a crutched game 2 and 3, where we could be potentially looking at a resequence of that. And I mean, certainly Kim wants Piper to potentially to be struggling in an eventual game 2 and game 3 to be able to swing it a bit, because here in this matchup, if Piper gets everything she wants, it's not a real big contest. But one of the markers that we see here is that the Gardevoird is finally down on the board. This is where Kim can start to actually play the game.
Well, we'll see what the attacker of choice is. Will be that Screamtail. So one way that Kim can try and win this is just keep presenting 1 prize options in the active spot and take those knockouts there and hope that can win a turn back from Piper, because getting set up for Piper is still needed. Needs to find energy this turn to develop those Zoroark. Has a big hand, has 3 Zoroark in play. Let's see what happens.
But you got to be thinking about here, Mike. The secret box was taken from those prize cards. So whenever Piper needs Ends PP up, Petron, and all that, it's going to come. It's going to come in sequence. All of this in just a second. But Pheasantipity coming in here, drawing even more cards. And if we can see something like a Boss's Orders this turn with the attack on top, you know, it's everything in Piper.
Well, a flip the script plus 3 trades. That is a lot of cards. That's 9 cards, while stinning some cards you don't want to see out. As well as that secret box in hand, Piper will be able to do whatever she wants this turn. You mentioned about Boss's Orders. You know, you've got that Gardevoird EX on the bench, the Mew EX too. So at this stage, Piper able to do everything that's possible. Let's talk about Secret Box, though. What a card. It is featured in so many of our top decks, whether it is Zoroark, Gardevoird, Marnie's Grimmsnarl, many of them using it to help with setup, but it's also got so much power throughout the game.
It's a good shout out to the computer search we had about 10 years ago, speaking of Shay's 2015 Worlds video, right? You know, when you're starting with Secret Box, you know you're going to have a good game. When you start with computer search back in the day, you knew you were going to have a good game. Secret Box is just the opener for everything. You'll be able to get stuff like, if you're playing Artist on your deck, you can get more basics, you can get Buddy Puff, and you get a supporter for the turn. Secret Box is the glue that binds most of these decks together, whether that be Zoroark, whether that be Gardevoird. Both of them are playing Secret Box. And, you know, an ace pick like that is just the element of consistency you can get out of it is insane.
Especially if the deck has intrinsic power.
Whoa.
As we see the Air Balloon on the active Zoroark. A disruptive stadium put in play. Won't disrupt the Gardevoird deck, but the Boss's Orders coming through onto the Gardevoird EX. The active Zoroark powered up, copying the Reshiram Virtuous Flame, and will be taking a knockout. Another 2 prizes for Piper. It is now on Kim to try and find a way to disrupt and win this game. It's going to be very hard. 4 prize cards still to take.
And I mean, Piper counting out their deck right now, yeah? Looking at it, it's so thin. Kim has to try and find a comeback, but it feels like if you're playing Iono, you're giving Piper 2, +1 for top deck, +6 for draw, so it's like giving them 9 cards to see anyway, and that means Boss's Orders has to be the one. But we do see Iono. Kim has to play his chances here.
And this is where all those trades come in really vital, being able to get rid of the cards you don't want to see in the end game. And Piper has done a lot of thinning, a lot of drawing. We'll only see 2 cards off this Iono. So there is a world where Kim is able to take this knockout on the active and force a lot out of Piper, but it's going to be a real challenge, as it looks like it's just going to be a Screamtail into the active.
We did see Boss's Orders. Boss's Orders this game here, and even just, getting attachment on a Zoroark on the bench is fine and all, but we get to see 6 cards being drawn here. If there's a boss within those 6 cards, that's mighty fine, right? And then we get to the point where we want to be. But even just stacking the KO on the Screamtail would put so much pressure on Kim, because it would mean if we can start to attach to another Zoroark, potentially the one on the far left of Piper's side there, then we'd be able to see everything happening. So it's just, is there a boss coming?
Well, we'll see a few trades to get there. Might not even need to try and win this turn. We'll have a bit of time potentially, but looking to just try and find that Boss's Orders. And there it is, Boss's Orders onto the Gardevoird EX. Piper cleanly dishes out another knockout. 2 prizes, taken 3 times, and Piper wins game 1.
We need a fabled good old 2-2-2 prize map, right, mate?
Exactly, and the consistency there and the setup from Piper made it so likely.
I mean, you're getting free, you get 4 Zoroark EXs out, you're basically drawing whatever you want to in the deck. Also snacking that secret box off the first couple of prizes. Great, you see the Cyrano here, grabbing triple Zoroark EX, and that's where the party started, right? Trade, draw 2 cards, trade. Gonna be looking at, do I need any of these cards? No, getting up to 4 Zoroark EXs in play and just trading away for 8 cards a turn.
Yeah, and being able to use it as your attacker in the matchup with that Dark type will swing into pretty much anything for the knockout on Kim's side. So it was just about finding those Boss's Orders, and the first one was fairly simple to get thanks to the secret box, and then it was just a few trades for the last one to get it. But Kim tried to get ahead, but it was so fast from Piper. The setup was so clean. We do have to mention that Kim was struggling a little bit in the opening, had to be using restart as the kind of crutches to actually help him get going, and unfortunately that didn't end up panning out for him. What Kim wants in this matchup still, go second, force Piper to go first. Hopefully Piper doesn't open that fast a setup as they had last time, and Kim potentially be able to do something like, Frillish and Oceanic Gloom turn 1. Pretty much playing like as if you're playing with Budju and just going for that, but it doesn't look like we're seeing a Frillish here. Exactly, and I think what you mentioned there is the perfect start for Piper, is get a few Zoroark down, get access to Zoroark as soon as possible, which is exactly what happened in game 1. And let's have a look at those prize cards. Secret box. Again. In the same spot for Kim.
Yeah, we do see double buddy puffin for Piper in those, but we see a secret box opening. As I said, if you're starting secret box, Mike, you're going to have a game.
And I think this time Piper will be looking to do much the same as last time. Get those Zoroarks down and find a way to get the Zoroark. So you see the buddy puffin slam straight down. Easy choices here, and this just comes from the experience. Piper just going so fast here, knowing the deck inside and out.
One thing I really love about seeing Piper play is that, these opening turns, we know exactly what we want to get down. Secret boxes, even discarding double Cyrano, knowing that this Hilda is going to be able to grab energy and Zoroark regardless, and then we don't need that Cyrano for nothing.
Amazing, just thinning all the cards out that are for the setup. Won't need them as the game goes on. And a quick little prize check here for Piper. I mean, if you're Kim, you're thinking, right, I need a little bit of a slower start here from Piper. The secret box revealed. A turn 1 secret box doesn't get much better than that.
Kim's just not catching any breaks here. Piper opening with secret box, getting into that buddy puffin. You know what? There's going to be more deck searches because Artisan's going to come down. You can get the 3rd Sarua. And one thing I really want to see from Piper saying, is there actually any Zoroarks hiding in there, making more of a sense to grab, that Hilda? If you have, 1, 2 Zoroarks already, yeah, grabbing the Hilda means you get a Zoroark and an energy, and then we can start piling on that pressure.
And the Artisan going down as well. Typically a tough decision to put down when you're going first because you're worried about giving it to your opponent. But why might Piper not be worried about giving away the Artisan here?
In this matchup, you got to be thinking about yourself. If you have such an advantage in the matchup just by purely, weakness and how the deck's functioning up against each other, you don't really care. What you care about is yourself. And Piper knows, if I set up, if I get my attackers going, I will probably win. And in that situation, top players like Piper would be thinking, well, let's just focus on ourselves first, and then we can start to think about, okay, is Kim going to do anything I'm actually threatened about? And then that answer is just going to be no.
So now Kim, starting off the game, going second, does have access to the supporter on their first turn. Looking to try and set up as well as possible. Last game, I think it's fair to say, Kim had a pretty strong setup, just not having that ability to use Frillish early on. Otherwise, it was pretty much perfect. Evolving into Curlier, having 2 Rolts down, getting the Gardevoird. Maybe just those 2 prize liabilities, like the Mew EX requirement and the Lille Clefairy made it tougher. But there are some great options for Kim in terms of single prize attackers. We've got the Monkey Dory, the Screamtail. Is that going to be part of Kim's plan this game, do you think?
It has to be, right? It has to be forcing Piper to draw as many cards as possible. Playing those Boss's Orders, because if Piper ends up having to grab one of these 1 prize knockouts, we would end up in a spot where Kim can then start reeling back the advantage. But it does require that Kim gets to set up a lot faster than last time. And unfortunately for Kim, he doesn't play Air Balloon in this list like we've seen, for example, Aban doing in the Jellicent Guardian version. Because, if you have something like Air Balloon, you can go Arven, Air Balloon, and go Frillish turn 1. But that's not an option unless, if you're in Kim's shoes at least, are starting with Frillish.
And also wanting to go Arven secret box. It is prized again, Kim. Unfortunately for you, your ace spec eludes you once again.
And it's even like top prizes, so it's not going to be there for the entirety of the game, mate.
Yeah, and the Earthen Vessel, the first play here to get some energy. We've seen Gardevoird so many times. You're all very familiar with the strategy. Get energy discarded, get your Gardevoirs developed, and swing. But when you're up against a tough matchup, Gardevoird has to try and find different routes, and we'll be seeing what Kim is capable of. Game 1 was just too much pressure from the Zoroark, and having looked at what Piper's done, you'll be thinking, right, she's got 3 Enzoroas down. She's discarded Cyrano, so she's confident that she can set up these Enzoroks. So Kim will be thinking, I've got to do something exceptional this turn.
If I was in Kim's seat and I was seeing, Secret Box discarding 2 Cyrano, you'd be like, what is Piper holding? That hand must be amazing if you decide to do that, because throwing away double Cyrano is basically like throwing away triple Zoroark.
Yeah.
Voluntarily.
Well, there we go. The Dark and the Psychic coming off of the Earthen Vessel. We'll be discarding that Psychic alongside the Artisan, as Piper so kindly presented it for Kim already. And we'll be now getting a Pokemon with that Ultra Ball. Now, Ultra Ball is a card that has been in the Pokemon TCG a long time. The discard of 2 cards in exchange for a Pokemon, it's so consistent in every list.
Yeah, we had it since Dark Explorers came out in 2012, Mike. That's, a good 13 years we've had that card. And there's a reason why every single deck play it. You may be thinking, well, I'm getting rid of 2 cards. Yes, you are, but you're getting any Pokemon you want to. Whereas cards like Nest Ball, back in the day, we had Quick Ball too. Those cards could be played for free, but they came with that stipulation that was basics only. Here we get to get anything, and on top of that, with Ultra Ball discarding, in your Gardevoird deck, you're getting to discard your Psychic Energy too.
Amazing. The synergy of Gardevoird is exactly why it is the most popular and most successful deck in our current format and the last few formats too. It has a target on its back and is a big factor as to why players like Piper have selected these Dark-type decks like Zoroark. And the Mew EX has come down once again, reliant on some restart draws to see new cards, as these starting hands haven't been as strong as Kim has wanted. Finds an Arven again, and I'm sure he was hoping to find an Iono after seeing such a strong first turn from Piper, knowing there must be a route to getting set up, considering the secret box.
Yeah, and Kim's just looking through here at the Arven, kind of biting himself, right? No secret box once again. It feels like the world has just turned on Kim in this case. And I do really feel for Kim here, actually trying to swing an unfavorable matchup. You need all the help you can get. When we're thinking about that too, if you wanted to go the Jellicent route, well, unfortunate news too there. Jellicent is also prized, and Kim plays that 2-1 line of Jellicent, which makes it so we're not even going to be seeing Jellicent this game, which was one of the strategies I alluded to during game 1, right? So whatever happens here, it looks like a mountain to climb for Kim already.
I'm just passing over just 1 Ralts in play, and the Mew EX available, so some great targets for Piper to target on the bench, and we'll be moving the Zoroark into the active spot with that subjugating chain. Evolves, takes away the poison, as when Pokemon evolve, they lose their status condition and heal themselves. So Zoroark now, just there, ends Reshiram with that Artisan, which was put in place, so everything kind of coming together. And whenever we see Piper pick up the pace, we know she's got a line that she's confident in, and it seems like that's the case right now.
Having that Hill in hand, guaranteeing that second energy we need for the Night Joker to copy that Virtuous Flame, which means we're certainly going to see the Monkey Dory go down. Unless we get to see a Boss's Orders potentially targeting that Ralts. And if we get energy plus Boss's Orders, we do get 2 more Zoroarks.
Wow, Zoroark trading into 2 more Zoroarks. So many cards available at this stage. And now it almost feels like that Hilda should have been played first, because you're always going to be getting this evolution Pokemon here. And so Piper now playing the Hilda, as this was the original plan, just to get that energy and another evolution Pokemon.
And it feels like Piper is getting punished for sequencing correctly here.
What an amazing first draw, though, to see another 2 Zoroark. We mentioned in game 1, as many Zoroarks as possible, and this time it's going to be 3 kicking off in turn 2 for Piper. And for Kim, there's so much to claw back in this game, but the singular Ralts in play, if it survives, there's options available for Kim.
Yeah, but you have to feel like Piper's on top of the world now. Whenever you're playing Zoroark, the dream is always triple, quadruple Zoroark turn 2, and then it feels like you could just take on the world. Whatever gets thrown at you, there comes the energy, and we get to see Air Balloon going down a second Zoroark is fine, because then it means you have a pivot Pokemon in that Zoroark with the Petron. But yeah, getting the knockout on the Monkey Dory and then telling Kim, it's on you.
Slightly different route here. In game 1, Piper was able to go 2-2-2 with the prize cards. We'll be taking a 1 prize knockout in this early stage, as Kim didn't evolve into Curlier. A rare candy would be required this turn, and based off of his low hand size we saw in the other turn, requiring that restart from Mew, there's a lot to ask out of Kim at this stage.
The low hand size, you've prized one of your 2 Gardevoirs, you prized your secret box, you need to hit one of your 2 rare candies, you need to hit your last Gardevoir piece, maybe potentially an Ultra Ball, but you can't play an Ultra Ball when you have that much of a low hand size. It's just stacking against and against Kim every single time we're mentioning it, right? And, typically with Gardevoir in these current circumstances as well, you wanted to use that TM evolution turn 1. We didn't see that either. So every single time we're asking, Kim, do you have this? The answer would just always be, no.
And for you, Jesper, you've been at so many tournaments in your time, and you'll definitely be going into every tournament thinking, this is a bad matchup, I hope I don't have to play against it. But how do you feel when you go into that matchup, especially in a high importance match like this, a top 16? What's Kim going to be feeling right now against Zoroark?
Kim has to feel like this was a horrible matchup heading in. Kim has, of course, been seeing, what happened in Pittsburgh, has been testing this matchup too, and Zoroark wasn't that well represented. So it's, almost the ultimate counter deck to Gardevoir. There are a few slimmer pieces you can do, but whenever you're facing a bad matchup, typically it requires you to draw really, really hard. And speaking of hard, we do see Rare Candy and Gardevoir in hand, but do we actually want to be doing that this turn? Because when we put that Gardevoir into play, We kind of let Piper know that there's a time for boss.
Well, we saw the boss's orders in Piper's hand as well, but at this stage, maybe the Monkey Dory coming in to put some damage in play, but with the Petrunk combination, you can just completely reset that. So this is going to be really tough. A lot of ability to move damage about now with 2 Monkey Dories established with Dark Energy, so Adrenabrain is available, but there's not really an obvious attacker at this stage for Kim on board.
And I do slightly want to touch on, you know, the factor of Petron here. Petron here lets you retreat your Pokemon and put poison on them. But with Zoroark having that air balloon, you're able just to toss that into active, give it poison, but then be able to free retreat because of the air balloon. It's like playing Latias for stage 1s.
Amazing setup. Stability on board, but the Adrenabrains will be used now, being able to move 30 damage, up to 30 damage from any of your Pokemon over to your opponents. And you can see 2 uses of that ability, and we'll just be using that Mind Bend into the active Zoroark, putting 80 damage on it, including that Adrenabrain. And now for Piper, knows that she can attack again next turn, but will have to try and establish more of a board for the future. This is the key with the way Piper plays. She's always thinking ahead, always thinking about future turns and how to establish as much of her board as possible.
Unfortunately, yeah, we do see the combination of Petront moving up that Zoroark with Air Balloon, quickly just signaling I'm going to retreat that back and be able to attack once more. And basically, you know, oh, boss's orders, Gardevoird, even worse.
Wow, there we go. The dream turn we mentioned, that boss's orders was sitting in that hand for a while, and being able to completely confidently do that turn from the off. That's such a powerful position to be in as a player. She knew looking at her hand that that was available the whole time. She just did all these other things to help set up for the future. So Kim now 3 prize cards down versus Piper. Piper has just got 3 remaining. Kim has 6 to take. A huge uphill battle.
Yeah, you kind of want to try and start to see where the prize map can then fall, right? You're looking at, well, how does Kim actually take 6 prizes here? The answer is, I don't know. Because when you're looking at Piper's side, there's an easy way of grabbing free prizes. If Kim doesn't get rare Candy Gardevoird, there is a Night Stretcher in hand, maybe potentially get something like the Arvin for a Candy, but I don't see quite the good route of a knockout here. So if Kim doesn't knock out, it's a really big opportunity to go ahead and knock out potentially first the Monkey Dory, and then you have targets in the Festendipity right there, and Immune right there, off another boss's orders at some point, leaving, you know, Kim's board so vulnerable. And we're talking about, again, does Iono work against Zoroark? Not quite, because Piper's just drawing all the cards she wants.
Especially with that subjugating chain from Petront EX.
Oh, yeah.
Always allowing you to reset the board. And Kim will just be discarding more of those energy. Does have an attacker available in that Monkey Dory, but it's not going to be able to knock out an Zoroark. So Lily's Clefairy makes sense as an attacker because it can reach that damage output, and it forces a lot out of Piper to get the return knockout. Unless there is a gust available. And so asking the biggest questions possible. They're not exactly huge questions when it comes to the Pokemon TCG. You're not forcing a lot out of Piper in these scenarios, but you are certainly asking, are you able to take these knockouts? Still needs to get the Gardevoird in play. There's a lot to do, and it's going to be Kim conceding here. A tough matchup. Too much to do to come back in this one, and Piper is through to the top 8.
And Piper through to the top 8, you know, just a showing off domination and how this matchup goes. We haven't yet seen Gardevoird beating Zoroark on stream, and there's probably a reason why to it. When Zoroark sets up these massively powerful boards, you just get to see it again. We do, unfortunately, get to see a replay here. Turn 2, double Zoroark, perfect start.
Was the perfect start. Both games, Piper set up well. It is great when your attacker and your draw engine are the same Pokemon. And we saw 4 Zoroark in play, and that meant 4 trades are available, 8 cards drawn to discard 4. So every single turn, it felt like Piper got exactly what she needed, copying that Reshiram with weakness to knock out all of the attackers on Kim's side.
Yeah, and with Kim, like, struggling, first of all, to find attackers, getting that Red Candy Gardevoird. And as soon as Gardevoird touched the field, you know what happened? Boss's orders, let's take that out. And it just made Kim struggle that much more, right? You know, when you get into a spot like this and you're just thinking, well, Secret Fox being prized both games, right? To start that off, trading and trading and trading. Kim, you know, typically, as a Gardevoird player, Iono is one of your ways to win a matchup like this where you can kind of lock them into a low hand size. But unfortunately, when you're playing against